today, and I hope you guys know that I am keeping all the reflections in this document, right? So what's the use of it? If you want to run it in your family, as a family halaqah, you have some things, right? So you could do the same thing, get together as a family, everybody reads one verse, ask questions, let people reflect, and this could be your cheat sheet for questions or points to think about. Okay, so every week I'd keep it updated. So for example, we have 9 till 17, and then I did 18 till 21 last week, and then inshallah today after the session I will add however much we covered today. And then you can jump around from here. Okay, so anybody using that? Just say yes, I'll feel good. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so we will start with verse number 22. Okay, we're good? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولا تقولن لشيء إني فاعل ذلك غدا إلا أن يشاء الله واذكر ربك إذا نسيت وقل عسى أن يهديني ربي لأقرب من هذا رشدا ولبثوا في كهفهم 300 سنين وازدادوا 9 قل الله أعلم بما لبثوا له غيب السماوات والأرض أبصر به وأسمع ما لهم من دونه من ولي ولا يشرك في حكمه أحدا واتل ما أوحي إليك من كتاب ربك لا مبدل لكلماته ولن تجد من دونه ملتحدا. Okay, let's do up till here and then okay, I think I skipped reading the verse, but okay, let's begin. Okay, so sayakuluna. Okay, so everybody, okay, so let's do it together. So when I start saying the Arabic, you also repeat the Arabic and then you read the Arabic, okay? Sayakuluna. They say. Okay, where is the they coming from? The ya and the waw noon. Okay, so keep seeing that, ya and the waw noon. Sa is for soon, right? So it's very near in the future. They're about to say. Yaquluna, that root letter we have seen already several times now. Sayaquluna, they say. Thalatha, 3. Rabi'uhum, the fourth of them. The dam is coming from whom? Kalbuhum, their dog. So the kalb is not a new word. We already saw it last time or the one before. وَيَقُولُونَ, see, same thing. سَيَقُولُونَ وَيَقُولُونَ. And they say, خَمْسَةٌ, 5, سَادِسُهُمْ, كَلْبُهُمْ, رَجْمًا بِالْغَيْبِ. Okay, so rajm is probably not a new word for many. It's used for throwing, right? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. So the one who was cursed, the one who was thrown at. So rajmam bilghayb. So they are throwing on the unseen. Okay. وَيَقُولُونَ, we saw that already. سَبْعَةٌ, 7. وَثَامِنُهُمْ, 8. كَلْبُهُمْ, same pattern. Okay. قُلْ, say. So this is fail of Amar. We talked about it last week. So this is command, right? So Allah is commanding the Prophet. Rabbi, my Lord. Where's the my coming from? Yeah. So ya is the attached pronoun. My Lord, my Rabb. Okay, quickly. What does Rabb include in it? The three attributes we talked about. Creator, owner, and fully in charge of affairs. Okay. nourisher, sustainer, fully in charge of affairs. A'lamu, knows best, like Akbar. Bi'iddatihim, with their number. Okay, so B is for with, and then idda, number, him, their number. Ma ya'lamuhum, none knows them. None knows them, right? From whom? Illa, except qaleel. So this is a pattern you might see, right? So it's like how we have la ilaha illa Allah, right? So similarly, you can have this pattern. So it's negating, no one knows them except very few. So that's the pattern there. Fala, not tumari, argue. So this is also a command, right? With the negation coming before, it's a negative command. It's a prohibition. Fala tumari fihim illa mira'an. Okay, so see, tumari and miran, same roots. So tumari is the verb in the command form, and miran now is a noun. So if you start seeing that, then you will see that how things are coming. Mira'an, zahira, obvious. Okay, zahir means obvious, clear, apparent. Wala, not. Tastafti, inquire. So this is from the fatwa, right? Same root letters as fatwa, and the ta is for you. Okay, so remember the verb form we said, the ta is for you. Okay, that's you do not inquire, right? That's and then sometime when you see the scene that has the notion of asking, like su'al, asking. Okay, so another place we see this, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. The noon is for we. The ta here is for you. The scene again is for the su'al, right? We ask for help. That's tafsir, so you don't ask for fatwa. Fihim, about them. Minhum, or from them, or among them. Okay, ahadan, anyone. Okay, wala taqulanna, you say. Okay, so try to remember that. So you say just for the ta. What is the noon mashaddad for? Emphasis, right? So you should definitely not do this. What? Li shay'in, of anything. Inni. Okay, so I is coming from the ya. Inna is for indeed. We saw that last time as well. Inni, indeed I. Fa'il, will do. Okay, so I'm the doer. Remember, we talked about a fa'ala and fa'il. So indeed, I'm going to be the doer, which means I will do. Dhalika, that. Ghadan, tomorrow. So don't say this. Okay, but now we have an illa pattern. So you saw that this illa pattern has come like 3 times. So something is fully negated, except in this scenario. Illa, except, an, in, yasha Allahu. Okay. Wadhkur, remember, it's a command again. Rabbaka, Lord. So before it was Rabbi, my Lord, Rabbaka, your Lord. Idha, when, nasita. Okay, so here, see, this noon is not for we, so you have to be careful about that, right? So this is part of that, the root letters, noon, sin, ya. So nasita, you forget. Waqul, and say asa, perhaps. Ain,
is this different from the bala'alaka?
Yeah, so la'alla and asa both means perhaps, okay, from our purposes at this point. Asa, perhaps. An yahdiyani, guide me. Okay, so me is coming from ni. Okay, here it's Rabbi, my Lord. Okay, why is it ya here and why is it ni here?
That's the plural.
This verb and this noun.
Nope.
It's makzoom.
Third person masculine.
There is letter has been removed because it's makzoom. The verb is an yahdiyani, like something in the grammar. So So the yeah has been removed as Arab. I don't know how to say it.
Okay, so it's removed. Okay, fine. But why is it noon?
Yeah is, sorry, yeah is mine and me is me.
Yes, good. Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. Jazakallah khair for that. Guys, wake up. Let's make it a competition there. Let's see if I can find the chart quickly. I think it's here. No preview available. Come on. Yeah, so you see here. So when it's mansoob or when it's nasb, then you use ni. So actually, if you combine the answer from both sisters together, that's how you get it. So it's ni when it's an object, right? So the sister said it's different is my versus me. Okay, guided me. Okay, so in English we say guided me, but when we are saying my book or my Lord, we say my. So in Arabic, when you're representing the my-ness, right, then you use just ya. And if you're using it as an object, yahdiyani. So who is guiding? The Rabb. Who is guiding? Who is he guiding? He's guiding me. So that's why you would use ni. Okay, and as the sister said that the ya is dropped, so you're only left with noon and kasra. Okay. All right, let's go back. Clear? Well, what's most important is for you to just realize that it's talking about me. Yahdiya ni. Okay, so ni is for me. So guide me, Rabbi, my Lord, li'aqraba, nearer. So qaf, raba is for qurb, for nearness. The pattern is same as a'lamu, akbaru, right? Aqraba, nearer, right? Okay, min hadha, than this, rashada, the right way, okay? Rushd. وَلَبِثُوا, and they remain, lam bathin, lam batha, and waw is for plural, fi, in, kahfihim, their cave, thalatha, we already saw that, 3, mi'a, 100. So now you know another counter word. Sinin, years. Wazdadu, add, okay? Tis'a, 9. So we learned a lot of counting words today. Qulillahu, say Allah. A'lamu bima labithu. So the reason I'm also going fast is that none of these are new words, by the way. So you see that how we are reducing the new words as you catch up. That's why I'm saying it's really important. Try your best to, at the very least, master one verse every week. Everybody should be able to do that. Okay? And then, if you can do more, try to do 7 verses every week or more, right? But at the very least, everybody should at least do 1 verse. Okay, anybody thinks they cannot do 1 verse? Okay, good. Lahu for him. For him, guys, please. غيب السماوات والأرض. Okay. أبصر به وأسمع. Okay, so this is a very common root letter that occurs many times in Quran. So ba, sa, ra for seeing, and sin, mim, ain for hearing. Okay, ma lahum, not for them. Min dunihi, min waliyun, protector, any wali, wala yushriku, shares, fi hukmihi ahada, anyone. Okay, so let's discuss these verses a bit and then we can come. Oh, I think I read this too. Okay, so let's continue. Watlu, and recite. Okay, ma uhiya. Okay, so this is something now you have to just be aware. So here it's saying whatever has been revealed, It's not negation. So here we were seeing a lot of negation patterns. Right? So where was it? In the past verse, right? We saw a lot of negation patterns with ma. I forgot. Subhanallah. In Kitabi Rabbik, from the book of your Lord, La mubaddila, none can change. Mubaddil from badal badal lam, none can change. Li kalimatihi, his words. Okay, walan, and not, never. Tajida, you will find the U is coming from ta. Min dunihi, same pattern we saw that earlier. Multahada, a refuge. Okay, let's go to here. So here, I didn't give you guys a chance to do the self-reflection, so we'll do it together. Okay, so here, what's happening? So they will say about the numbers, right? So what is Allah saying? When they are talking about these numbers, what they're doing is they're just throwing in the darkness. They don't have any knowledge, they're just making guesses. Okay, so you tell them that my Lord is best knowing of them and none knows it except a few. So do not argue with them, accept a clear argument and do not ask from them anything. Okay, so there are different qualities that are mentioned, right? Some qualities Allah has praised, some qualities Allah has dispraised. So what jumps out to you? Anyone? So what comes to your mind? What are you reminded with? Any good qualities? How would you use this to give nasiha and advice to yourself or a friend? What's an action item that you can take from there? Like, what's a different perspective that you can take from this?
Not to go into a debate that it will not get any benefit from the certain discussions. It's better not to discuss it because there will no benefit from it.
Right. So this is something from last time as well, right? Remember when they were talking about how long you stayed? So being focused, right? Not wasting time on matters that may not be beneficial because either of lack of knowledge, lack of evidences, or just like, okay, even if you know the exact number, so what? Okay. Now, just as a side point, many scholars have said that the correct number seems to be 7, and the 8 being the dog. And they have different indications of that, including that the other numbers, Allah said rajman bil ghaib, but when he's quoting sab'a wa thamina, he's not saying this. So that's one of the indications, and Allah knows best, but that's just a side point. Okay, so that's one. Okay, second thing here is also about when you argue, or if you were to argue about something, then talk with evidence. Okay, so if you have clear evidence, then you argue with them. Otherwise, just don't just like conjecture and keep arguing, right? Mira'an zahira. Okay, so be careful about what we are arguing on. What are we using to argue? And then the third thing here is
Who will argue with?
in this.
The last part that was تفتي فيهم منهم أحدا. It means don't waste your time with anyone. If you have to choose who you argue with.
Yes, so don't ask them about it. Okay, so in this particular scenario, it's about talking about the people of the book. They don't have any knowledge about it, so you don't need to ask them. But from a general reminder perspective, be careful of who you ask for what. Okay, who you ask for what. So some person may be, an expert in business, and he or she may be able to give you good business advice. But the same person may not be a good person to ask about legal matters or about the matters of the deen. And I think that's something that we are obviously that we suffer from. Okay, so many times I do see people get confused about this. Or if someone is an expert in one field, they have studied, they have a lot of experience in this, does not necessarily mean that they can give you advice, or they may be the best person to do a different job. Okay, and many times I see this happening from the community, outside of the community. A very common one being, especially our youth, when they go and they talk to the university, to the professors, and so on and so forth. They may be expert in whatever they are teaching, but they would have different comments and different views about religion and the existence of God and so on and so forth, and they start looking up to them for religious knowledge as well. Okay, and that's not something wise to do. And many people do throw in these things, so you have to be careful of what you're taking from whom. Okay, so as a very side point, I've seen this something recently, so I quoted many times. It's a really good book called Loon Shots. It talks about major innovation that has happened in the last 10 or 20 years. So it talks about principles and how things are innovated and how people persisted in medical and tech and marketing and everything, right? But then he has this chapter that he throws in there, and he's talking about obviously the lack of innovation, and sometimes you may find people that discourage innovation. You still have to persist, blah, 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 right? So that's good idea overall. But he throws in the chapter name as the Moses Trap. Okay, so again, he's hinting to that okay, religious people are the one who are going to basically scale down innovation and so on and so forth. So these type of things happen. So you are attending some webinar, some seminar, reading a book, and people have these side things that they put in there. So you have to be careful about, okay, there's an idea thrown, is this true or not? Okay, so from our seerah, do we know the Prophet ﷺ, did he discourage worldly innovation? Anybody got any example handy?
Discourage what, sorry?
Worldly innovation, like new ideas, new approaches.
The internet now, like anything.
Yeah, in his lifetime. Do you see anything from the seerah that shows you that religious people actually do not discourage innovation?
Yeah, I think there was a speech that, maybe an hadith, that the Prophet said, knowledge is the lost property of the Muslim. They have to search for it, even if it's as far as China.
Okay.
Which is an example of.
So there was many examples that were encouraging to seek knowledge. Okay.
Which is probably going to lead to other innovations.
Okay. Anything else? So one very clear example is the Battle of Khandaq, right? The trenches. When one of the companions, Salman Farsi radiallahu anh, he suggested to dig the trenches, right? So Sahaba radiallahu anhum were encouraged, and they were listened to when they had new ideas and new approaches. It wasn't like all the battle strategy or the worldly strategy or the finance strategy were like a wahi, right? So a lot of the worldly things were left to research and discussion and consultation and so on and so forth. Anyways, the point being that be careful of who you are asking for what, okay? So that's something that happens a lot. Okay, so another example, right? So for example, let's say you have a friend, okay, many times it happens, right? Brother Zubair, I have a friend who wants to convert. Do you know of a convert I can connect him to? Okay, so there's this naivety there that, okay, every convert is able to give dawah. That's not true, right? Or sometimes you may have someone who's a very well-read scholar of the deen, but they may not be the best person to give dawah to a certain audience, right? So you have to see who is best for what job. Okay, with this said, I'll do a shameless plug. We are doing a workshop on October, when are we doing it? 22nd, October 22nd. So we'll talk about this topic of how do you actually share the message of Islam with your friends or colleagues or neighbors or whoever are people around you. So try to come to that. Okay, so that's second. Be careful about who you ask for what, and also be careful about which debates and arguments you will participate in, and what you will move on from. Cool. Okay. All right. So now this is obviously very important, and I'm sure everybody can pick out what's the message here in 23 and 24. What's the action? Yes?
So I guess what I understood from these two verses was that Allah has taught us to say inshallah, and if we forget, then we should know that we should first remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of planners, and the outcome will always be better than we expected.
Okay, very good, mashallah. Anybody from the guys? So it's our verbal, so obviously, so you have to have certain belief in your heart, but also the words are also important. So when you say something, I will definitely do something, do not be so overconfident, do not miss out saying, inshallah. So that should be a practice of a believer, to add inshallah of any future statement or promise or plan that he's sharing. Okay, that's number one. Yes?
Only Allah has control of things that will happen, so we can't be too certain.
Yes. So that's your, yes, so also from your heart perspective, you should realize that it's not just that 2 plus 2 will always be 4. Okay, because we have control over efforts, but results are only in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So 2 people may do exactly the same thing. One gets the right result and the other one may not. Okay, that happens, right? 2 people go to the same university, same program, maybe graduate with the same marks or even more marks than the other, but the one with lesser marks has, making more money, for example, in the next 5 years, right? So always remember that the results are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that's what our hearts should be connected to. And from a verbal perspective, we also say this. So that conditions our mind and heart to remember what the sister said, that the results are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, we can only put effort. Now, if you forget, then you say when you remember. That is also a generic statement. You can also see it by itself. So whenever you forget, right, so you have been negligent of remembering Allah, try to remember Allah throughout the day as well. So you've been working hard, doing this, taking care of kids, doing business, and you forget, right? So it's good to maybe pause and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, being conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by dhikr or by salah and so on and so forth. And also included in this is a specific thing of if you forgot to say inshallah and then you remember later, then you say that. And then lastly, there's a very interesting point that I think some of you pointed to, is that when you're saying about a plan that, okay, I will do this, I'll apply for this job tomorrow, inshallah, or I will, do this deal tomorrow, inshallah. You also remember that, this phrase about that perhaps Allah may guide me to something even better. So even if you say inshallah and you did something, it didn't happen, then have this hope, and this is something part of what we do from istikhara as well, that your plan doesn't have to be the best plan. Right? It should happen this way, but Allah can have a different plan and that may actually be better for you. Okay?
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Can we use this as an excuse? For instance, if I tell someone I'm coming tomorrow to your place and I said inshallah, then I didn't show up and you're like, you said you will come, but and I said, oh, you remember I said inshallah, so you shouldn't be angry. Can we use it as an excuse? People do cheat with that.
Yeah, we shouldn't do that.
Because they say, well, inshallah is sufficient as an excuse.
No, yeah, so that's totally wrong, right? So a believer is a person of integrity, right? So if you tell someone that you will come, so what that means is that you have done that commitment, that you will come, you will take care of that, right? Which means that you will put in your full effort. You're not like, if you don't intend to do it, then perhaps you should say that.
Well, I said inshallah, and I didn't.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So when we are talking, right? So if I say, will you come to help me move tomorrow?
Inshallah.
Right? So what does that mean?
I can come, but I didn't show up. Then I'm like, well, inshallah should be so.
Yeah, so maybe, yeah. So I guess after some time your friend will know that what I meant to say was, I don't intend to, but if Allah wills, I'll just show up. But I have no intention of helping you.
So does it depend on intention? So let's say that I have an intention right now and I say, inshallah, I'll do this or I'll give this or whatever. And at that moment, my intentions are right, like I do want to do it. But later on, something happens, and so is it okay to say it?
Yeah, so that's fine, right? I mean, yeah, but in the other
It may not work out, but your
yes,
intentions were
exactly.
That's good. Mine is bad. Mine is cheating.
No, you're then no be cheating, right? I mean, sometimes I can see where you're coming from, right? Sometimes it's hard to say no to people, right? So if you say no to them, they'll just like keep talking to you, right? Then you may have to use this card, right? So that's actually a very important topic, right? That, okay, how do you say no to people? That's also an art, right? And so now you should learn how to say no to people instead of letting them believe that you will come, right? So I would probably say, you know what, I have a few things I need to do. It's looking hard, but if Allah wills, I'll show up. But don't count me in, right? I don't want you to give you the wrong impression, looking like it's going to be very hard. Then he's going, what are you doing tomorrow? Okay, then maybe that person deserves this, right? So, but yeah, it's an art to see how do you say no to people, right? But so that's more of a relationship thing, and also from your own integrity perspective, right? So in general, you want to be a truthful person, that if you say yes, then someone should be able to rely on you, right? But obviously, if things come up, then you say, look, I wanted to come, but something came up, I couldn't come. You can tell them what came up, or just.
What if you're doubtful? That most probably you won't be able to do that, but you just say, inshallah, I'll try.
Yeah.
So you can,
Exactly, right? So yeah, in that sense, like it's looking hard, but inshallah I'll try to be there, right? So then so this is, again, we're not talking about like the use of inshallah. It's more of like you and your word, right? What it means to the other person. So this is not necessarily about the usage of inshallah. It's like when we are communicating among brothers or sisters or even non-Muslims, right? What does your word mean? And obviously, as Muslims, like, we are. We have a bad reputation of that, right? To the point that it was used in the debate, right? That inshallah I'll release my taxes, right? If you guys know what I'm talking about. So that's a very bad reputation. We don't want to be known as that Muslims use this inshallah for things that they don't intend to do. Just a side thing, obviously from hadith we know that we shouldn't say this when we are asking for dua, right? So when we're asking, oh Allah forgive us, may Allah forgive you inshallah, right? So we shouldn't do that. When we're making dua, then we shouldn't be saying inshallah, because then we are actually asking Allah to give this to us. So we don't say, okay, Allah forgive me inshallah if you will, accept from me inshallah if you will, right? So that's not a good etiquette of making dua. Cool. Okay, so here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the knowledge, right? So this is for me, one reminder is that Allah shows this as a sign of the Prophet's messengership, that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him this knowledge. And even though he intended to have this information earlier, it didn't come, so that shows that Allah is in charge, right? At the end of the day, Allah is the Malik and Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Rasulullah, but also Abdullah. So, he didn't get it at the timing that he intended, but Allah gave this revelation and told him this information so he can narrate to the people of the book that were asking him. And Allah gave him this knowledge that they stayed in the cave for 309 years. So then the scholars have commented that this 9 addition is coming from the difference of the lunar and solar years, right? So lunar years are shorter by like 11 days or something. So it becomes like 309 years, 309 lunar years equal to 300 solar years. And Allah knows best. For me, the most important thing that I would walk away with is that how Allah establishes the signs and the proof for the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. Then this is like, how do we understand and how do we talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and our internal confidence, right? Knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything. So anything that we are searching for, right? Even exams or work or medical cure, right? Corona, COVID, whatever we are searching for, answers, direction. Should I do this or not? Should I take this job or not? Should I marry this person or not? Should I go and buy this car or not? Allah knows everything. So what is my relationship with Allah when it comes to asking Allah via istikhara or making dua to Allah or trusting in the plans of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and so on and so forth. And He clearly sees how well He sees everything, how well He hears everything. Okay, so that's really, really powerful, and you can take it in different angles, whatever is top of your mind, right? So you're thinking about something, you're trying to make a decision, you're thinking about your career, you're thinking about, again, marriage, you're thinking about a business deal, you're thinking about which university to go to. Remember, Allah sees it all. He has complete knowledge of the past, the present, and the future. Okay, and then we are maybe worried, we're searching on the internet, reading, talking to this person, but we are not talking to Allah, right? That doesn't make sense. So that's one. Right? And if you have the ability to talk to that person, right? Now, sometimes, like another example, right? Let's say you have a famous person, like business figure, or venture capitalist, or technologist, or a doctor, and you have access to that one person one-on-one, right? He's inviting you. You can have a one-on-one conversation, and you say, okay, I can only see you at 5 o'clock in the morning. Would you not show up? Right? But then how do we deal with it and how do we take the opportunity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us for faraid, right? The 5 daily salah, and especially in the masjid for men, or the last third of the night. Okay, how do we are we taking advantage of this? And how much we would take advantage of to go and see someone, even like a Islamic speaker, right? A celebrity speaker. Right? People would just like drive for hours or take a flight and this and that, but we forget, right, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's part of that hopefully as we read Quran with reflection, it will remind us of who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. And then the point being that مَا لَهُم مِّن دُونِهِ مِّن وَلِيٍّ. Right, that you have no one other than Him who will protect you, who will guide you, who will make you successful. So if Allah is that one, then how is my relationship and how is my submission and how is my obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala compared to other people? Okay, I hope everybody can think of some example, right? Like think of a human example from today, right? As I said, like it'd be a business person, a tech guy, venture capitalist, a scholar, Habib, right? How much people would drive and this and that and line up and spend thousands of dollars and whatnot. But think of how is our relationship and our iman about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, lastly, there's no one who has any shirk, any right, any share in his judgment, in his decision. Okay, that's also very, very powerful. And hukum can have these two meanings. One is the hukum of the sharia. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you can marry this person and you cannot marry this person, okay, this gender and this gender can have marriage and otherwise it cannot happen. Okay, this is for inheritance. This is prohibited. You can eat this, you cannot eat this. You can drink this, you cannot drink this. This is a right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not dependent on me understanding the wisdom behind it. Like I don't have the capacity and the capability to understand. Like think of a child, right? And the parents may say, okay, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. And then it's like, why can't I do this? Right? It's not possible for the child to understand the reasoning of everything that the parents tell him or her to do or not to do. It's just physically not possible. He doesn't have that knowledge, that basics. And then we argue that, okay, well, it doesn't make sense, so it should not be done. We should drop this ruling of Islam or that ruling of Islam and so on and so forth. So we forget that who is the order coming from, and we start thinking about the whys, and if we cannot understand the why, then we change and bend the order. And this also has the hukum of the decree, right? So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses something to happen, that's also His decision. Or if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not choose something to happen, that's also His decision, and no one has a right or share in it. Okay, so that talks and addresses the mindset and the deviation that we have among different Muslims who asks other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Whether it be going to graves or asking the pious people who have passed in the past, asking to them while sitting here, or even asking the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam instead of asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He has the final authority, He has the full authority, and the decision and the decree belongs to Him. Any comments on this? Okay. 27 is the importance again of the reminder and importance of the kitab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That how much do we read it? How much do we connect, right? Do we give the haqq of the tilawah? By pronunciation, by understanding, by reflecting, and then acting on that knowledge. So this is such an important thing, and obviously many Muslims are ignorant of that. They hardly read it, or do not read it properly, or do not understand it, and so on and so forth. And Allah again promises that there is not going to be any change in His words, and you will not find any refuge except with Allah. So it's a reminder, right? So if we are making decisions when we are trying to obey or please a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so then this is a reminder about that they cannot help us, they cannot protect us, they cannot give us what we want. It's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that can do that. Okay, so we'll continue. Any other comments? Something I missed, something that you picked up on, reflected on, wanted to share? Okay, let's do a few more verses. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه ولا تعد عيناك عنهم تريد زينة الحياة الدنيا ولا تطع من أغفلنا قلبه عن ذكرنا واتبع هواه وكان أمره فرطا وقل الحق من ربكم فمن شاء فليؤمن فمن شاء فليؤمن ومن شاء فليكفر إنا أعتدنا للظالمين نارا أحاط بهم سرادقها وإن يستغيثوا يغاثوا بماء كالمهل يشوي الوجوه بئس الشراب وساءت مرتفقا. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات إنا لا نضيع أجر من أحسن عملا أولئك لهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتهم الأنهار يحلون فيها من أساور من ذهب ويلبسون ثيابا خضرا من سندس واستبرق متكئين فيها على الأرائك نعم الثواب وحسنت مرتفقا. 31. Okay, wasbir from sabara, to be patient. Nafsaka. So it's the same word, right? We were talking about it earlier. فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ. Exact repeat there. مَعَ الَّذِينَ, with those who يَدْعُونَ, they call, right? So waw noon and ya for they, and then you have the dua in the middle. يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ, in the morning, وَالْعَشِيِّ, in the evening. Okay, yuriduna, they desire. Okay, yuriduna wajhahu, not sure, wajhahu, his face. ولا تعد عيناك,
and let not pass beyond your eyes.
okay, anhum turidu. So you are desiring, okay? Here, yuriduna, they desire. Turidu, you are desiring. Zinatan. Okay, let me see quickly here. So here, as you can see, they're not giving you very exact translation. But if I go on, where was I here? So yuriduna, let's see what they say. Okay, never mind. I think, I don't know, has anybody tried the Darussalam volumes? They may be more exact. But okay, so turidu zinat al-hayati dunya. Zina, adornment, al-hayati dunya, of the world. Wala, and do not. Please.
You didn't wait.
Oh, okay, I didn't wait, my bad. Tuti' man aghfalna. Okay, we is coming from na, right? Aghfalna, we have made heedless. Qalbahu an dhikrina. Okay, R is coming from na, right? Wattaba'a hawahu wa kana amruhu furuta. Okay, I can only hear one voice now. Everybody's getting tired. Come on. وَقُلِ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ فَمَنْ شَاءَ. So sha, remember, insha'Allah. So here sha. فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. إِنَّا أَعْتَدْنَا لِلظَّالِمِينَ. Everybody please wake up. نَارًا أَحَاطَ bihim suradiquha. So this ha is for, right? So this is for the feminine, right? So nar is a feminine noun. Okay, naran ahata bihim suradiquha. Wa in yastaghithu.
And if they call for relief,
So see the scene here again for seeking, for asking, right? As we saw earlier. And ya and waw is for the third person plural, and then you have the seeking of the help. Yughathu, relieved. So same root here. Yastaghithu yughathu bima'in kal muhli
like molten grass,
yashwil wujuh
which has the faces.
bi'sa sharabu
Wretched is the drink.
wasa'at murtafaqa.
And evil is the resting place.
إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات
Believe and lead your scrolling list.
إنا لا نضيع
Indeed, we will not let you waste and will not let you waste.
أجر
The reward.
من أحسن عملا.
Deeds.
Okay, good. أولئك لهم جنات عدن
Those who for them are gardens of Eden.
Okay, let's continue. تجري من تحتهم
Tahtihim flows from underneath them.
الأنهار
And how the rivers.
يحلون
You have all not they will be adorned.
فيها
Fiha therein
من أساور
min asawira of wheat bracelets.
من ذهب
Min zahab of gold.
ويلبسون.
وَيَلْبَسُونَ and will wear.
So you can see the libas, right? Lam, beam, lam, ba, sin. Okay. Thiyaban, khudran.
Green.
Okay, so some new words are coming up now. Min sundus. Wa istabraq. Muttaki'ina. فيها على الأرائك نعم الثواب وحسنت مرتفقا. Okay, now we can wait for adhan. So Murtafaqa is repeated. So your word by word has investment that will have high returns. Okay, very important advice here. Okay, what sticks out to you? So again, company, right? That has been a key concept even from the beginning. So you have two types of people. There are people who are chasing the world. Okay, they're hustling. They want more money, more funds, being independent, financially independent, whatever they would say, but that's what their focus is. There's a lot of chasing of more dunya. Okay, so that's one type of people, and then you also have other types of people that are calling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the morning and in the evening. Their main focus is desiring the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which can mean different things. His pleasure, also being able to see Him in the hereafter, as the believers would see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Jannah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you have these two types of people. So you surround yourself with people who are focused on the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? And then do not be distracted by seeking the zina, the adornments of this world. And moreover, do not obey the one whose heart has been made in ghafla, in heedlessness from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he doesn't remember Allah, he doesn't remember or think about or is conscious of the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he doesn't care about that. What does he care about? He still follows someone. We can call it, okay, I'm free will and freedom of speech and freedom of will and being free and liberal, but he's still following something. What is that? His desires. So that's his God. Okay, when do you wake up? This time. Why? I felt like it. That's my decision. That's best time for me to wake up. That's why I'm going to wake up at this time. What are you eating? What are you drinking? His own decision. Whether it be pleasure, whether it be backed by science, whatever he thinks, but he's just going to follow his own plan, or his friends because he wants to please them, or his culture, or whatever community that he wants to be part of. So his affairs, his matters are furuta, right? So they are excessive, in excess, they are short, so they're not hitting the mark. So you have always think about it. Be conscious of the choices that you are making. Be conscious of the people that you look up to. Be conscious of the people that you follow, that you hang out with, and so on and so forth. So these things would help you achieve the goal. If you have the goal of seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then use this advice. See what is distracting you. What and which type of people. Right? If you have love for something else and that's distracting you from the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, watch out for that. Okay? And if you have people that you love to hang out with, that you want to please, that you want to be accepted by, then watch out for that as well. What kind of people are they? Clear? And be confident about sharing the truth of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So anybody comes to you, oh, why do you fast and it's harmful for you and this and that. Whatever it is, right? Say, this is the truth is from my Lord, right? He has the right on me. He has the most knowledge. He has my best interest and the best interest of the community as the objective. So whoever wants, let him believe, and whoever wants, let him disbelieve, right? So there's an option. That's part of the free will that Allah has given to human beings. Some other people, what they do is, sometimes we want to bend the religion to sound cool and to be acceptable. You would bend the religion, because you can't explain it. So you would say, yeah, this does not apply here, or it doesn't mean that. And there are people who do that, right? And obviously even from a claimed Islamic scholarship, right? They would just try to fit in, accept everybody, bend things. So be careful about that, right? But Allah's guidance is that the truth is from Allah. Whoever wants should believe and follow it. If you don't want, then you don't follow. But that choice has consequences. The consequences are that for the wrongdoers is that Allah has prepared for them this fierce fire. Okay? And there, if they ask for help, they will be given this scalding hot water that will just burn away the face. And such an evil drink it is, and such an evil place of resting that is. Okay? But is that the only option? No, that was the choice that they chose. And sometimes we feel that, oh, what if someone didn't know or didn't... Look, this is also a very interesting topic. Sometimes when we start thinking about it, how can someone go to hellfire if they have X, Y, Z? So first we need to understand that thought of that mercy is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of our mercies combined together, everybody on this planet, if we just combine all these mercies, right, or the huge pool of mercy from the time that the world was created till the end of times, that would be less than 1 part of the 100 parts of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah is way more merciful than what we are. So if someone doesn't deserve to be in this place, they wouldn't be. They're only going to be there if they chose to. But this is the alternative, which is very simple. If you believe in this book, right? If you believe that you have a Lord who has right on you, who knows better, He has given you guidance, and then you act upon it by doing the amilus salihat, then Allah will not waste your good deeds. And Allah has prepared this alternative for you, right? The beautiful gardens with rivers, and bracelets and gold and silk and reclining on couches, and that's a beautiful reward and a great place to be in. But there's a choice, so you can make that choice, and both choices have consequences. You can be from the people of Jannah or the people of hellfire. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from the people of Jannat and give us Jannatul Firdaus. Okay, so any questions, comments, any other observations from these verses? Yes?
I think we wanted to mention the contentment portion of the verse, where regardless if you find contentment in obeying Allah and being patient, the real contentment is in the reward that you receive from Allah and the pleasures and Allah loving the actions that you are in.
Yes, that's really very important, right? Jazakallah khair for that. So sometimes you may find it, like I'm also doing a slight turn on what you mentioned, sometimes you may find it hard to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you might find it challenging, right? So remember that reward. Because we do these sacrifices for the world, right? Sometimes you may save money and you want to take a vacation or work hard for a grade and whatnot, because then you're looking at the future. So thinking about that future and that reward is also very important, that yes, it may be hard, and initially you may not enjoy the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So for example, let's say someone starts fasting and they may find it hard to fast. So you can then remind yourself of the reward that you will get for fasting and controlling your desires. And people do this in this world, right? So they look at, okay, you know what, I want to lose weight, I'm gonna avoid this food that I desire, focusing on that result. So obviously you can do the same for akhirah, and at some point that you cross that threshold, and in that submission and that holding back, then you start also enjoying and having that pleasure and contentment while obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when you struggle, then keep that reward in mind. Okay? And it's obviously we cannot picture Jannah, but when you see a lot of any destination, vacations and so on and so forth, retirement plans, so imagine that if those things are so beautiful and so luxurious, what would Jannah be like? So having that is also important. And for some people, they're driven away from pain. So that's why you also have, the painful alternative. And some people are driven more by looking forward to pleasure. Good. Anything else? Okay. So anybody plans to come back after Isha for practicing, I can be here. But if you guys are not, that's fine. We'll just see you next week. No pressure. I'll just come and check. If anybody's here and they want to practice, I'll hang around. If not, but do try to practice at home, with your friend, family member, whatever, at least one verse a day, and so that we can inshallah keep growing. So I'll see you next week. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.